Hello gardeners, welcome to Native Plant Channel. I'm Lourdes and today I'm going to be planting this beautiful serviceberry tree and showing you around my garden and what's going on at the beginning of May. Now I'm choosing this serviceberry because it is a native tree that provides edible fruit for our birds, helps our Lepidoptera, has flowers early in the spring. It flowers in April, so it provides nectar for pollinators in April when there's not a lot going on, and because it has beautiful fall color as well. So 3 great reasons to plant it. I am replacing a butterfly bush with this serviceberry, and the reason that I removed the butterfly bush, which as many of you know is very attractive to butterflies, is because it is not native. And more research is showing that it is invasive, that particularly in hot, dry areas, it produces a lot of seed which gets out into the wild and then damages our local ecosystems. I'm not judging you. Native Plant Channel is open to everybody who is making the journey to transfer their gardens to more and more native plants. And so I've elected to replace my butterfly bush with a native plant that is helpful to not only our Lepidoptera or our butterflies, but also produces berries for our birds. Most serviceberries are multi-stemmed shrubs, just like the one that I am planting today. They can occasionally be found as trees with a single trunk. They prefer full sun. Now I'm going to show you how to plant it and how to plant the tree really, but if you're not interested in the how-to part, you can skip ahead to the 7-minute mark for a tour of the garden in early May. As you can see, I've already dug the large hole for this plant, and what I've done to make life easier is put out a tarp where all the soil gets placed on this tarp. That makes it easier to keep the area clean, to not lay it on other plants, and then to use what I need again when I refill the hole surrounding the tree. So the hole should be dug to the depth of the container, which in this case is a large container, and about 2 to 3 times wide. Now the easiest way to measure if your hole is deep enough is to sink the container in the hole and make sure it is level or just slightly above the rest of the level of the ground. My husband is helping me with this today. We've already done that. And we're just about ready to put the plant into the hole. Now comes the hard part, getting a heavy plant out of the container. And you want to put your palm down on the soil to hold it in place so that it doesn't get damaged while you try and turn the container upside down or sideways enough to be able to pull it out. Now you want to lay it down on its side, and you do need to cut about the bottom inch of the roots, bottom inch or so, in 4 different spots. So go around 1 quarter at a time, and cut about the bottom inch. And now loosen that up. And the reason you do that is so that the roots can start growing. So they're not all compacted and keep growing in a circle the way that they were in the pot. This loosens them up and gets them ready to grow into all directions of the soil. Depending on how pot pound they are, you might need to take your knife to the center bottom and cut a little bit more out. Now you don't want to go, deeper than 1 inch or 2, but you do want to be able to loosen those roots so that they will start growing. And now ready to go in the hole once they're loose. And again, it needs to be at the level of the rest of the ground. So now we have to straighten it out. I'm gonna help them straighten it out. So now it's time to fill it in. So we put the soil back in the hole, pressing down as you go so that you are eliminating a lot of the extra air pockets and so that the plant can stay firmly in place. So as you fill the hole, get your fist ready and push the soil down. You'll see that it drops. Okay, you need to do that to firm it around the plant. As you can see, the root ball of the tree is level with the ground around it. What you did was not put soil on top of the root ball. You put it around the plant and then pressed it in with your fist to make sure the soil is not going to move out of place and the plant sink. Now, what you need to do next is to water, and you want to water it well. Leave your hose running slowly, and depending on how dry the soil is, you could leave it, just monitor how wet it's getting. You don't want to create a mud pile. You just want the soil to remain damp. Keep monitoring it and don't create a muddy mess. After that, you can put some mulch on. And a mistake that many people make is that they see mulch being applied to trees and shrubs, and it's often applied like a volcano. Okay, the mulch should not touch the trunk of the tree because that causes rot. What you want to do is put the mulch around the tree, and I'm just grabbing a little bit of mulch here. I have to go get it, but I'll just show you what I mean. Basically, you want to do about 1 inch or 2 of mulch to maintain moisture, prevent that surface from drying out, okay? And you want to keep it a little bit of a distance away from the trunk of the tree. This can be about 2 inches high, and again, avoiding the trunk of the tree. Think of it as a donut going around your shrub and not a volcano around the trunk. Now that the shrub has been planted, I'll give you a quick tour of the garden in May so that you can get an idea of what's up and what's coming up, because some plants are pretty late. So let's go around the garden. So I will welcome you into the garden from the gate. A shrub that is very late to leaf out is button bush. This one is just getting its leaves, but in July it is covered with these unusual and lovely flowers which look like disco balls and attract butterflies like crazy. Behind it is a ground cover that I'm going to be moving, and this is barren strawberry, which is just finished blooming with yellow flowers. And you'll see here little blue stem, which is a late season grass that I have cut back. Now if you notice, because you never know what insects or eggs it may contain, since it is a host plant for many skippers, I take the cuttings and I just leave them in the back as mulch. On the arbor is coral honeysuckle that is just starting to bloom but will soon be covered in beautiful red blossoms throughout the month of May, which will continue sporadically throughout the rest of the growing season. Here is another holly, because hollies do need one male in order to pollinate several females so that you'll get enough berries. You should be able to see that this one does have a number of insects flying around. So hollies are an excellent plant that should be considered for the early spring, because they do provide nectar for our pollinators. On this side, you are looking at black chokeberry. This particular one is low scape mound, and the reason I have this is because it grows 2 feet tall, as opposed to the one that would normally grow 6 feet tall. Here I'm just hoping to form like a 2 foot tall ground cover that would cover this area. Behind it is a bush honeysuckle, which is our native honeysuckle and is a shrub, not a vine. This one will also have lovely small flowers that feeds all kinds of small pollinators. I am now standing underneath the arbor just to give you an overall view of the garden. This area is 35 foot by 35 foot, so you don't need a huge area in order to grow a beautiful garden. This is the Serviceberry that you just saw planted right in the center. And over here on the side, I'll show you what I have here. Okay, this shrub is spice bush. It is the host plant for the spice bush swallowtail butterfly, a beautiful black butterfly. It blooms in March with small yellow flowers, so it has already flowered. As you can see, some plants have already leafed out, but others have not, such as this summer sweet, or also known as sweet pepper bush, which grows, I would say this one is pretty close to 10 foot high, and it is just beginning to leaf out. But in July, it will be covered in very fragrant flowers that attract bees and butterflies and all kinds of other pollinators. It forms colonies, but it takes a long time for it to form those colonies. This one is probably about 20 years old. As you can see, my garden has really not been completely cleaned up. I do leave stalks standing for a while and into the beginning of May. These I'll be finishing up taking down today. In the container is a columbine. They do very well in hot, dry spots. We always think of them as shade plants, but they will do well in hot, dry spots. This is great blue lobelia, which will be in bloom later in the season and is now up. It's a lovely plant that attracts pollinators and flowers for a pretty long season. Next to it, you're going to see a little violet. Please try to keep violets around in your garden. And the reason for that is that they are the host plant for a group of butterflies known as fritillaries that are beautiful orange and silvery butterflies. You're going to really enjoy having them in your garden, but they need violets in order to complete their life cycle. I'm eagerly anticipating this serviceberry producing berries for the birds in June and seeing its fall color later on in the season. Thanks for watching today. Please go to Facebook and look for Native Plant Channel to join our Facebook community. Also, please subscribe to Native Plant Channel so that you know when a new video is released. Have a great day, and thanks for everything you're doing to make your garden more eco-friendly.